In the summer of 1940, Britain was not preparing for another distant campaign. It was preparing for invasion. Poland had fallen. Norway, Denmark, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France had been defeated. British soldiers had escaped from Dunkirk, but much of their heavy equipment had been left behind. Across the English Channel, Nazi Germany now controlled the coast from Norway to northern France. Hitler expected Britain to negotiate. When it refused, German planners began preparing Operation Sea Lion, the proposed invasion of southern England, but the Channel could not be crossed safely while the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force remained capable of destroying the invasion fleet. Before German troops could land, the Luftwaffe had to win control of the sky. On paper, Germany appeared to hold the advantage. The Luftwaffe had gained combat experience over Poland and Western Europe. Its forces included Messerschmitt Bf-109 fighters, twin-engine Bf-110s, and formations of Heinkel, Dornier and Junkers bombers. Many German commanders believed fighter command could be exhausted and destroyed within weeks. But Britain had built a defensive system Germany could not see from the air. Along the coast, chain-home radar stations detected approaching formations while they were still far over the sea. Their reports passed through filtering rooms and group headquarters, where information from radar, the observer corps, and other sources was combined. Controllers then sent only the necessary fighter squadrons into the air. This mattered because Britain could not afford to keep every aircraft flying all day. Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding had created a system designed to conserve pilots, fuel and machines until the precise moment they were needed. It did not remove the danger. It gave fighter command time. Its principal fighters were the Hawker Hurricane and the Supermarine Spitfire. The Spitfire became the symbol of the battle, but Hurricanes formed the larger part of fighter command and destroyed more enemy aircraft. Against them flew the Bf-109, a formidable fighter, whose limited endurance over Britain would become a serious restriction. The battle began gradually. German aircraft first struck shipping convoys and ports in the Channel, testing British defenses and drawing RAF fighters into combat. On July 10, 1940, large attacks against Channel shipping marked the date later adopted by Britain as the official beginning of the Battle of Britain. To the pilots climbing into their cockpits, it did not feel like the opening chapter of a legend. It felt like the first day of a struggle they might not survive. Because beyond the coast, the Luftwaffe was preparing something far larger, and Britain's entire future would soon depend on whether fighter command could remain alive. By August 1940, the Luftwaffe had stopped testing Britain. It was preparing to destroy fighter command. On August 13th, the Germans launched an assault against airfields, radar stations, aircraft factories, and command centers across southern England. Nearly 1,500 Luftwaffe sorties were flown that day. Bad weather and confused orders disrupted parts of the operation, but Britain was no longer facing scattered raids. It was facing a campaign designed to tear apart the system, keeping its fighters in the air. Fighter command depended on sector stations such as Biggin Hill, Kenley, Hornchurch, and Debden from their operations rooms. Controllers received reports, tracked raids, and directed squadrons into battle. Damaged communications, power supplies, runways, or control rooms, and an entire sector could be blinded when it was needed most. On August 18th, later remembered as the hardest day, both sides suffered some of their heaviest losses. German bombers struck airfields including Kenley and Biggin Hill, while RAF fighters attacked the incoming formations. Aircraft fell across southern England, but the deeper danger was exhaustion. Machines could often be repaired or replaced. Experienced pilots could not. Fighter command had already lost many trained airmen in France and Norway. Replacement pilots were pushed through shortened courses, sometimes reaching operational squadrons, with limited time in Hurricanes or Spitfires. Those who survived one mission might be sent back into the air only hours later. Britain's defense was never carried by British pilots alone. Airmen from Poland, Czechoslovakia, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa joined the RAF. Polish pilots, many experienced from fighting over Poland and France, quickly earned a reputation for aggressive and accurate combat flying. Their contribution became increasingly important as the battle consumed men faster than Britain could train them. The Luftwaffe had problems of its own. German bomber crews had to cross the Channel, strike defended targets, and return through RAF attacks. The Bf-109 could challenge British fighters, but its limited endurance allowed only a short time over Southern England before pilots had to turn back. Bombers that lost their escorts became exposed. By the end of August, Fighter Command was under its greatest strain. Airfields were damaged, pilots were exhausted. Some sector stations had come close to temporary collapse. German commanders believed the RAF was nearly finished, but they underestimated how quickly Britain repaired damage, shifted squadrons, and restored communications. Then, in early September, the Luftwaffe changed its target. Instead of maintaining pressure on Fighter Command's airfields, German bombers turned toward London. The capital was about to enter the battle. On September 7, 1940, the Luftwaffe changed the battle. For weeks, German bombers had battered RAF airfields and sector stations across southern England. Fighter Command was exhausted, but it was still functioning. Then nearly 1,000 German aircraft were sent toward London. The docks and industrial districts of the East End were hit first. Fires spread across warehouses, homes, and oil installations, creating a glow visible for miles. That night, the bombing continued. The Blitz had begun. For Londoners, the consequences were devastating. Hundreds were killed on the first day alone. Families slept in underground stations and shelters while raids returned, night after night. But militarily, the change gave Fighter Command something it desperately needed. Time. Airfields that had been under constant pressure could repair runways, restore communications, reorganize squadrons, and bring new pilots into the fight. German intelligence believed the RAF was almost destroyed. It was not. 8 days later, on September 15th, the Luftwaffe launched another enormous daylight attack against London. Radar stations detected the incoming formations. Reports moved through Fighter Command's control system, and squadrons across southern England were ordered into the air. Spitfires and Hurricanes climbed toward the bombers. The fighting stretched across the sky from the coast to London. German formations were repeatedly intercepted, forcing bombers to scatter, abandon attacks, or release their bombs early. The RAF had not been eliminated. It had appeared in strength exactly when Germany expected it to be done. The losses suffered that day shocked Luftwaffe commanders. More importantly, the attack demonstrated that Germany still did not control the skies over southern England. Without air superiority, an invasion across the English Channel was extraordinarily dangerous. 2 days later, on September 17th, Hitler postponed Operation Sea Lion. The Battle of Britain did not suddenly end. German raids continued, and the Luftwaffe increasingly shifted toward smaller daylight fighter bomber attacks, while large-scale bombing continued at night. Britain would endure the Blitz for months, but the central objective of the Luftwaffe had failed. Fighter Command remained alive. Germany had not secured the air superiority required for invasion. By October 31st, the period officially recognized in Britain as the Battle of Britain came to an end. Britain had survived its most dangerous summer. The victory belonged not only to the pilots, but also to radar operators, mechanics, controllers, ground crews, factory workers, observers, and airmen from across the Commonwealth and occupied Europe. They had faced an enemy that seemed unstoppable, and for the first time in the war, Hitler's advance had been denied in a major campaign.